You always look great.
Thank you.
And sound great. And
Thank
you're
you.
brilliant. You bring it all to the table.
Thank you. It's amazing. I know, but when the red light comes on, I get stiff.
Oh, there's no reason
But then
to.
I let it go.
Not if you and I are
Yeah.
talking. Okay, we'll get started in 3, 2, well, here we are. We made it to the special private event that NFT.NYC is doing. And everybody here, you know, a lot of them are leaders that are, of course, speaking at the event. You've always been an incredible leader, part of this community. Thanks for being here. For folks that may not know who you are, there's a camera over there. We know you're there, people.
We know you're there.
But why don't you introduce yourself to me for their sake, and
sure.
tell me about the new stuff that you're working on.
Yeah, sure. So you know I'm Peg Samuel. I'm telling everybody that's watching. And I most recently joined a company called MetaJuice, which is the blockchain subsidiary of a company called Together Labs.
Yeah.
And Together Labs owns IMVU, or IMVU, some people call it. And it's an app that's been around for 18 plus years.
They have a lot of users, right? 750,000 daily active users?
Yes, so
right.
what's amazing for me is like, okay, I have this metaverse that I'm working in, and it's the world's largest social metaverse, and we're bringing Web3 to it. So like you just said, it's been building for so long from the user base, like it's a community-led thing, which is amazing, and right now we have 750,000 daily active users and all these other incredible stats.
Right.
That's the one that always sticks in my head, and that 65% are female. I love that.
That's amazing. There's, one of the things I love about this environment is, at least for the NFT.NYC, you know, community, there are a lot of women that have a voice, are empowered, or put on stage. Can you talk a bit about the process from trying to draw women in to making it just about them as incredible leaders and it not be about their gender?
Yes,
and can you help me and us understand how we can best be thoughtful about that as we're gathering leaders together, not making it about gender, but also making sure that we're creating space for everyone?
Yes, I love this. I love this question. It is so thoughtful, and I probably have like 10 minutes on it, right? I think one of the things at first that I noticed and what brought me into crypto was that women needed a seat at the table if we were going to talk about a new financial model. You know, like we're now going to, if crypto's the new finance, we need to be there for this round of it. And just representation, women, gender, you know, genders, even of race, and just being diversity, you know, having diversity at the table, which actually is better voices, right? So the other thing is our friend Kelly that was at the first NFT.NYC, or one of the first, which I was there too, like looked out in the audience and said, wait a minute, there's not enough women here, and brought that awareness. And I think once, even like you're saying, once the awareness is there, good people follow that awareness and make sure. And what was I going to say? Someone cut in front of the camera, so it distracted me. I'm like, no, don't do that. But it's a party.
It's a party.
So the awareness is what's important. Then I feel like, you know, guys were being, early crypto days, conscious of it and doing this all women's panel. Right? Where I'm like, well, she could have been on that panel. She could be better on that panel. She, like, now you've got a like a mish of different topics, but all on one panel, where the voice could have been, you know, you're a thought leader over here. And I think it's really making a good job of it now. And I honestly, like, being a woman in tech for like 25 plus years, at first I didn't even really notice, it just was like, oh, lots of guys here. And now I just feel like last night, the dinner's representation, and Jodee brought it up, but even here, it's like, oh yeah, there's plenty of women here. It's like not even a thought, which is exciting. But even, like we were talking right before this started, you're being conscious of it, and you're making sure you're inviting enough, like, because it could be easy to get a room full of guys, you know, and crypto bros and all that, and they're great too, love them. But to have that better economy, if you will, of thought leaders, we want to get these different perspectives. Because like globally, we need this too, and globally I could get all political, but it just makes more sense, and that's what crypto and NFTs and blockchain is supposed to be.
As we kind of wrap this conversation, so you can get back and mingle with everybody.
I know, I'm like,
I grabbed you right when you came in.
Here.
What's the importance of leaders getting together in this industry? You know, there's like 100 or so people that are here today, but there's going to be over 10,000 at the event. So when you take time out of your schedule to come be here with just a small group of people, what's the benefit to you as a leader? What's the benefit to the room of small groups of people gathering together that are all peers, bouncing ideas off each other? Like, talk a bit about that.
Yeah, I love it that you grab, you NFT.NYC grabbed peers to be together and make some smaller conversations, because I feel like also, like, the bigger events are amazing and sharing our knowledge is amazing and meeting whoever and having all those conversations I love. However, you're not sure which conversation you might get in, and if you're with more thought leaders or people who've been in the space or understand the space, the conversation could go to a higher level and people can meet, people could do side things. Like, just, I don't want to like poo-poo the other thing, but it's just like any industry. If you're to grab, like, say, people in the music industry and it's like high-level people, it's going to be one conversation versus like, fans and people, retail or something like that. If that, I want to be as inclusive as I can in this answer, but I think it's pretty amazing. And like last night we did that dinner with 25 people, and it was, and it's the one dinner that I go to that actually one person speaks at a time. And it's still interesting and engaging. And even if some of us were repeating what others were saying in a different way, not everything was like that, and not everybody agreed, but respectfully. And like, we were talking before this about something, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting point to be that way. And that gets our minds thinking, and if we're trying to solve problems or expand on technology, we're talking other, like the geeks getting together, maybe,
The geeks rule the world, apparently, at this point.
I know, I'm really excited about that.
And how can people get in touch with you? If they want to follow up with you about the new project that you're working on, or any, people have been listening to you for years in this environment. So how might people reach out?
I've been on Twitter forever, and my handle's @SocialDiva, so that's an easy way to hit me, follow me, DM me. And then I'm on LinkedIn, Peg Samuel.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you
I'm
so
looking forward
much.
to spending time with everybody.
I know, I could just stand with you for the hour. It's so good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, that's it. We're done.
Hey.
We did it.
Thank you.
Here we are. We made it.
Once again.
Another NFT.NYC event. So this time there's going to be like 100 leaders. So you and your peers are gathered together in the room today. Help me understand, what's the benefit of getting to a room with just a small group of people that are leading the industry, and what do you hope to kind of get being here, rubbing shoulders, and what do you hope to give to a small group like this? Because you're speaking, as you should be.
That's all right. No, I'm so psyched to be here. Another great event that you guys put together, and it'll be an interesting, different experience to talk to thought leaders, brand leaders, Fortune 500 companies about what their views on NFTs are. I think we all know we're at a moment of sort of a trough of disillusionment. Like, the markets are not hot as they were a year and a half ago. And so peeling away the negative sentiment and externalities and looking at where are we, what use cases for the technology have worked, where do we see evidence of adoption, what should we as product people prepare for, what products should we work on, and where will the markets be in the future? I think that's what I want to talk about.
Well, you gave one of the most inspiring talks I've ever heard in this industry at the last NFT.NYC on the Radio City Music Hall stage. You came out and you delivered an incredible keynote on kind of where the market's at. Today you're going to talk about past, present, future. Give me some insight. What are you most excited about looking toward the future?
Well, first, just looking at where we are, we've sold more than $50 billion of NFTs in 2.5 years. So it's as I said, I think on the stage at Radio City, which thank you for having me there, that was amazing. It's the most successful consumer product release since the smartphone. One of the greatest consumer adoption stories ever. And so what happened during that period? Why did we sell so many? What's still selling now? And what do people resonate with? What types of use cases have worked? So we're going to peel that away and look at a bunch of data, and we're going to try to break down the market into the different segments and the different use cases. There's generative art, there's sports collectibles, there's other types of collectibles, There's digital fashion. We'll talk about what Nike's done. So I would just focus on where we've seen success, kind of ignore some of the noise, and look at the data.
Now for CoinFund, you're the managing partner there, and I know that I'm assuming, I shouldn't say no, that your thesis and your approach as a fund to the market probably has tweaked a little bit from the excitement to the trough of disillusionment. What are you looking for today? Are you looking at new companies? Are you looking just to reinforce with second, third checks into existing portfolio companies? What's really getting your attention?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, the longer you're an investor, the more you look for opportunities like this. You like it when the markets are not on fire and prices are not super high.
Right.
And like it's not a bunch of tourist crazy money bidding up companies that show little evidence of success.
Right.
Now is when the people who want to do hard things are the ones left, right? The entrepreneurs who aren't looking for easy money or don't expect things to happen quickly, but have a long-term vision in mind about what they want to build. This is the time you meet those people, and this is when you invest in them. And by the way, this resonates with them because they want people who are in it for the long term. So we raised a lot of capital last year, and we're deploying it in the seed stage and in the sort of Series A and B stages. We're investing in what we hope to be tomorrow's best founders, building the best stuff, and we're still as bullish as we've ever been on NFTs. We're a realist about what has worked and what hasn't. And so as I've said to you before, I mean, I think of ourselves as evidence-based investors, not religious investors. We don't have some conviction independent of the data, but I think this is a very interesting set of technology with lots of already demonstrated use cases. Great time to invest.
Yes. Now, with 100 people here, way different than 10,000 plus at the Javits Center next month, April 12th through the 14th. For an event of that size, in an industry that's still very, very new, what is it that you go there for? Why do you go speak? Why would the different organizations, yours and others, be involved? How is that environment important in this just still emerging industry?
Yeah, do it for information, right? What are other leaders thinking about? Compare notes. I do it to meet tomorrow's great founders. What are the young, inspired founders thinking about? What use cases do they see? What do they want to build? What's working and what's not, right? This is what we do. I think what's particularly interesting about today is we have probably fewer 25-year-old founders and more Fortune 500 brands and business executives.
Which is
and the fact that they're here talking about listening to NFTs, we want to know what they're thinking too. I think crypto and NFTs in particular, it's one of the few places in technology where I think, let's call it legacy or incumbent companies can be just as successful as the new startups. Typically we see new technology disrupting legacy companies. I don't see that happening with NFTs, right? NFTs are additive to existing brands.
Like they multiply the efforts, the impact, the strategy, the vision of the existing Global 2000. They bring something in that accelerates but not replaces them.
Exactly. It doesn't cannibalize their existing physical businesses or their existing streaming businesses or existing online businesses. It's additive. So that's why this group is super relevant, and what they're thinking about and what they're interested in is relevant.
Yes. If you want to get in touch with you or CoinFund, what's the best way for them to go through the process of saying hello?
Yeah, thank you for that, Ian. So David at CoinFund.io or Pakman, Pakman on Twitter.
Yes. Well, I always enjoy spending time with you on and off the camera. Thanks for jumping in and joining me.
Thanks for having me here, Ian.
All right, my friend.
I was born here, and in 1962, during who knows what happened in 1962? Anyone? Who said it? Cuban Missile Crisis. My mum said to my dad, I don't want to live in New York, so I was dragged off to Australia, which is why I talk like this. I think 2 years in New York is enough to make me a New Yorker. I certainly feel like a New Yorker. David's nodding his head, so thank you. We deeply believe in New York. We deeply believe in the people in New York, the Times Square billboards, Wall Street, fashion, art. That's everything that we dream about with NFTs. So this is the perfect city for us to be NFT.NYC. And Cam and I were talking in 2018, and we said, oh, okay, how do we spread the word about what we do? We didn't even know what we did was NFT, but we had to go and Cameron registered the domain name NFT.NYC, and that was the beginning of this. And sitting in the audience here, we have David Pakman, who is one of my favorite people in the whole world. We were just we were just talking about the ups and downs of this market, and David said, look, it doesn't really matter whether it's up and down, it's really what we believe in is in the technology. So you're going to hear from David shortly, and I'm going to take you through a little bit about what to expect at our event in April. It'll be our 6th event, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how we use NFTs to power up our event and some of the brands that are out there in this space now. So, when we were dreaming about what we would do with NFTs, we said, let's use NFTs to give the community a voice. Where's Peter Boards? Peter, where are you? I want to embarrass Peter. Peter, can you stand up for a moment, please? Peter is sort of the godfather of all the things that we did with NFTs and events. Peter said to us in 2018, could you please power up the consensus event with NFTs? So we created NFT swag for Peter, and he believed in us back in 2018. And Peter now runs a very big event called Masari. It's called Mainnet, isn't it, Peter? Mainnet. So thank you for giving. Thank you, Peter, for giving us. What was that? What was that?
I said this September.
Yeah, this September. And what we believe in is we want to put the community, with people who have great ideas on stage, and we want to use NFTs to create connections between people. So those of you who are coming to our event in April, you're going to learn about all the things that NFTs can do to create engagement and collaboration. That is our theme. All my life I have been thinking about how do we use technology to bring out that generous, talking, communicative side of human beings that can, you know, as a human being, more than we can be selfish. I like to use technology to see how we can bring things together. We're going to talk to you about some of that. Proselytizing to a broader community, this event gives me goosebumps. If you had said to Cameron and I in 2018, one day you will be talking at NASDAQ, and at NASDAQ will be embracing NFT technology, I would have thought this is mission impossible. We're at this point now. We had a dinner last night with 32 brands at Norton's, eating delicious steak and that yummy spinach that they had. And every brand stood up and told us what they were doing with NFTs, and it was just inspiring. Some of you were here already, I think. Who was at Norton's last night? Okay, excellent. John. Oh yes, Jane. Jane, can you stand up for just a moment? Jane, you've also, Jane King, I would say, is the most knowledgeable, coolest global commentator on the NFT space. She gets up at 2 a.m. every morning to do the news, and she came to dinner with us last night and didn't leave till 10, so you've had about 2 hours sleep. And then the last thing, of course, that we believe in, our fourth value, is let's create engagement with NFTs. So all of you are going to get an NFT, right?
That's right. So if you guys have seen on the pillars around the building, there's this NFT that we're showing up today. We're calling it the NASDAQ NFT.NYC Pass. Noah, who's on our team, is sitting right here with one of these pins on his shirt, actually created the artwork. Thank you, Noah. But this is really an example of creating a proof of attendance token that everyone here in the room can get today. But we're going to show you how we can continue to deliver benefits to all of you who hold that token. So like Jodee said, show you who the community was that was actually here in the room. So if there was someone that you bumped into, but you forgot their name, maybe you can reconnect. Or deliver you, the VIP upgrade to NFT.NYC in April, maybe some other things along the way.
Actually, you reminded me, Layla, can you say hi to everyone? Layla, can you stand up, come on, Layla, stand up and say hi. Layla is from Business Insider, and Layla got the award last night for Quote of the Night, which was something like, once you issue an NFT as a brand, it was, you're liable to nurture, look after, or engage with that NFT for the rest of its life. Like, NFTs don't die. NFTs stay in people's wallets. And so we're going to give you an NFT today. Hopefully we can look after. Thank you. We can look after. And the other part of it, where's Noah? Noah on our team. So Noah is one of our product managers. He works for CAM. Noah is figuring out how we can use NFTs to create common interests. So one of the things that I like to do, I like to ride bicycles, and if I have a bicycle NFT, then those of you who also own bicycle NFTs feel some relationship with me. I used to talk about crispy bacon. I love crispy bacon, right? And and we created a bacon and eggs NFT. So if you own the crispy bacon NFT and the egg NFT, then you get something special as a result. All of those things are possible with NFTs. Okay, this is what's happened to us over the last few years. You probably can't see this. No one cared about us. No one cared about us. The world
woke up.
The world woke up. 6,000 people, Times Square, and then last year was crazy. Who was at the last year event? Okay, it was a bit crazy, wasn't it? And all of you said we should try and centralise it. So this year we're at North Kravitz. This year's been a roller coaster, all the way down. You've seen that, and we are seeing attendance this year around here. There'll be about 8,000 people at NFT.NYC in April, which David and I were talking about. We think it's a really good result. Oh, Cameron reminded me. Can you see word of the year? One of the things that I'm going to take credit for all my life is that I was able to get the Collins Dictionary people, along with Cameron, to put a new word in the dictionary. What do you think that new word was? Yes! The Collins, a week after our 2021 event, the Collins Dictionary said that they were putting NFT in the dictionary, and it was word of the year. How fun is that? 1,500 speakers, and 46 countries, and this year we have 16 different tracks.
Nico is actually in the audience, who was in the middle of that picture. If you go back one, Jodee. Yeah. Speaking of the microphone. Thank you.
Oh, excellent. So you're famous. What absolutely knocked us over is we have not spent $1 on marketing ever, and it's all community and tweets. We had 200,000 tweets last year, and this is my favorite one, which was cool. Should I change my life and go to NFT.NYC or stay home and do nothing?
This next one, thank you to Jessica. Jessica, where are you? Thank you, Jessica from Coinbase. Coinbase was a big partner for NFT.NYC last year, and we love that they said that NFT.NYC was the Super Bowl for NFTs for a few reasons. One, because the Super Bowl is a very big event, and that's we're very proud of that. But two, I think that in relation to this group, the Super Bowl is so important and significant for brands, and so to see that brands all rally together around an event, and for someone to recognise that around NFT.NYC was really important for us because it showed that we were achieving what we wanted to.
And thank you to all the brands. So the theme this year is brands are getting behind NFTs. I am not a speculator, I'm not a gambler. People have said to me, oh, what are your tips for NFTs? And I've always looked at my shoes and felt very sad that I don't have any tips for people. We don't speculate, we believe in the utility of NFTs. We're now seeing so many brands come into the space. And that's what Cam's going to talk about now, some of the brands, and then we're going to hand over to David Pakman.
Thanks, Jodee. So in 2019, at our first NFT.NYC, we didn't really have tracks. We had one stage throughout the whole day, and we did sort of group and label and tag people's talks. And one of the categories that we actually called, one of the most prolific categories at that time was, of course, art, collectibles, gaming, which was sort of starting. But everything else we sort of threw into this category that we called wild and crazy use cases. And so we had some people talking about, hypothetically how brands might use NFTs in the future. And a lot of it was all very new and sort of very utopian. And since that time, we're so proud to be able to say that we've been a part of some projects, and we've been able to support some projects, and we've just been able to witness brands actually do all these really interesting things with NFTs, but it's still very early days. So, one of the ones that I really like is Renee from Coach, who couldn't be here today because she's actually having surgery, unfortunately. But Coach actually has done a few different campaigns with NFTs, really experimenting with how they could build loyalty and reward their existing community. That's been really exciting to see, because it's been not only a way of sort of the utopian kind of idea of saying that an NFT is a loyalty program, but using NFTs to support their existing strategy. And so they actually token gated the ability to get an NFT to members of their loyalty program.
So what did the Coach NFT actually do?
It gave them access to a party that was at their Fifth Avenue store during NFT.NYC, which was quite cool. Nicole from SAP is in the audience tonight.
Where's Nicole? Say hi to everyone, Nicole.
She and I will go through this in a bit more detail later, but this was really exciting. Nicole works in a part of SAP called Success Factors, and they won an award. And Nicole said, how are we going to share this award with everyone on the team that helped us win it? You know, she did not want the award to sit on someone's desk gathering dust. She wanted to be able to share that achievement with the entire group of employees. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Nicole, there's a nice quote for you. I think this is really cool too. So people were just excited to see that SAP is such a big company who's actually engaging with NFTs. And I think we're still at that stage that there's a lot of brands or institutions in this audience even that are at that point of dipping their toe in the water. Experimenting exactly. And so hopefully we'll be able to share some different ideas from people that can help them proceed. PwC, Matt is also going to tell us a little bit about what PwC is doing.
Matt. Yeah, there you go.
Matt at NFT.NYC last year talked about how they were using NFTs to help educate traditional finance about what digital assets really are. And he has a great story about an in-person event that they held in Miami, in Florida last year, where they actually got 50 CEOs from big organizations to actually get their first NFT and show them how it worked. So we thought that was a really great story to share as well. And then this is really exciting for us too. Major sports, we all know about collectibles, we've all known about baseball cards, football cards. We know that sports fans like to collect and create identity with the teams that they're interested in. And this is something that's sort of an extension of that, but what we saw was that the NFL, who have spent, I think, about a year or 18 months on their NFT strategy, delivering NFTs to fans of teams or attendees of games, they actually reported that they've seen an increase in their email open rates from 20% to 60% every time they mention NFTs. And I think that's really interesting, is not relying on NFTs as being this digital collectible or whatever the NFT actually does, but how the NFT can actually support their existing strategy as well. As we mentioned earlier, today we're going to be using this NFT to celebrate your attendance and participation in today's event. And something that we'll talk about with Nicole too is a really fun thing that we're doing with LinkedIn certifications. So you'll actually be able to use this NFT to add a verifiable credential to your LinkedIn profile that says that you attended this workshop.
That's right, so your boss can now assume that you're an expert on NFTs because you've attended this event.
Yes, and you can expense your lunch. My click is not working. There we go. Some of you may have seen that last week we released something that we're calling the NFT.NYC 2023 Pass. This is really an experiment for us, is to show how we can continue to deliver value to the NFT.NYC community. And so basically we've got two types of passes. One is for VIP and one is for GA. And not only do you get a ticket to NFT.NYC, but you could also get a VIP upgrade or a bonus ticket to bring a friend or a piece of exclusive merch from our partners from NFT.NYC. And this is, like we were saying before, another way that we're going to use NFTs to deliver ongoing benefits to our community.
Just to pause you there for one moment, most of us have heard about ChatGPT, which I find annoying in one sense and sort of really fun in another. So I thought I would torture ChatGPT on Saturday, and I said, please tell me about all the different types of NFTs. And I got a beautiful one-pager which summarized 7 types of NFTs. And I thought, how up to date is ChatGPT? And they actually said there are dynamic NFTs, generative NFTs. I thought, wow, this is amazing. This is an example of a dynamic NFT, because depending on the other NFTs that you'll have in your wallet for NFT.NYC, this NFT gains more power and gives you more access. So NFTs can look at the environment around them and actually create more access and privileges. That really excites me. And ChatGPT got it right.
Talking about dynamic NFTs, this year we're also doing a digital twin NFT ticket. So we talked about this a little bit at dinner last night, but we built an integration on top of Eventbrite that will deliver every registered attendee at NFT.NYC an NFT ticket. So for people that are new to this, they can just use Eventbrite the way that they always have, and they'll be able to then sort of start their NFT journey with a ticket that they can actually use to scan and check into NFT.NYC. But to that point about it being dynamic, the ticket NFT will actually evolve over time. So depending on whether the event's coming up, it might unwrap and reveal which artwork is on your ticket from one of our community of artists. and maybe after you check in, it will evolve to have different benefits.
This year there were 4,000 artists who submitted their work for NFT.NYC, which is why we're creating an artist village on the roof of North Javits, and we've invited 1,500 of those artists to actually come and talk to our attendees. And bumped into Anne. Anne, come and say hi to everyone. We've known Anne for a long time. Anne is very, very deep in the art community. I offered Anne the job earlier. She hasn't accepted yet of being the queen of the artist village. Did you say yes? Sign me up. Everyone heard that. Sign me up. Meet the new queen of the artist village, please. Yes.
Okay.
We're going to finish up now.
Yeah, to wrap us up before we hand over to David, just to give you guys on that point about the artist village, to talk a little bit about what to expect this year at NFT.NYC. What we're really trying to do is create focused experiences around the topics that people care about. So today we're really focused on brands and what we're calling the future of Fifth Avenue, and seeing how consumer brands can actually change what they're delivering to their audiences using NFTs. As Jodee mentioned, we have a rooftop artist village where we'll be showcasing over 2,000 different artists' artworks, and we'll be having different brands and galleries also showing in that space. Entertainment speakers will be presenting in the space that we're calling the Entertainment Quarter, focused on sports, ticketing, and other types of live entertainment. Later today, we'll hear from Pakman from Water Music.
Brilliant.
Finally, the gaming arena.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for being such a great audience. David Pakman, over to you.
Let's talk a little bit about the data that we look at to figure out what's going on with NFTs. I'm an investor, a venture capitalist. I focus on investing in the most promising entrepreneurs building things in crypto, and I have a deep specialty around NFTs. But as I told Ian, I'm not a religious-based investor. I'm an evidence-based one. And so I like to look at what does the data show us about what consumers are really doing here. What use cases of NFTs have product market fit, and what does that help us conclude about where things are going, what's working and what's not. There's a lot of hype in all new tech industries, but crypto is certainly not immune to it. And NFTs as well have sort of followed that kind of normal adoption path of tech, and we're probably in the trough of disillusionment after sort of an incredible hype cycle for 2021 and some 2022. So let's take a look at where we are. First, just a reminder, what are NFTs? Well, they are property rights for intellectual property. We've been able to own or possess or trade physical goods for millennia, but we haven't been able to do that with digital goods because they weren't scarce. Anyone could make a copy of any piece of digital intellectual property, so I couldn't claim to own it. What that did in Web 2 is it created an access economy, where music went from being hard goods that you collected or owned, like cassettes and LPs and CDs, to streams. And the same thing happened with movies. We don't own VHS tapes or DVDs anymore, we just stream them on Netflix or wherever. Books also, we don't really own them as much. Some of us still treasure a few physical ones, but most of intellectual property has become a streaming access model. And that hasn't been terrible for business. It hasn't destroyed all businesses. Certainly changed the dynamic and the profitability for some. But what's exciting about NFTs is it's a general purpose technology that lets us change that and introduce, not necessarily to replace access models, but to add a new dimension to intellectual property where we can own it again. We can make intellectual property scarce. Is that a big deal? Yeah, because more than 10 million people spent $50 billion in the last 2 years to buy NFTs. This makes NFTs the most successful consumer product released since the smartphone. It's not an idle concept. I mean, it's an extraordinarily successful new idea that is certainly nowhere near its ripened stage. It's still hard to use. Typical of crypto, we picked one of the worst possible names to try to explain it or call it. It's not well branded. The concept around wallets is a terrible consumer experience. We're just nowhere near a mass market, general purpose UX around NFTs. And that's probably why only 10 million people or so have played around with them. Those 10 million people have spent an unbelievable amount of money. And what did that lead to? Well, it led to a tipping point. where even SNL did a send up on the concept. Jodee got it to be word of the year. It's sort of an extraordinary short amount of time for something to catch the zeitgeist. So if only 10 million people bought them, hundreds of millions of people around the world heard about them, which kind of primes us for what are we going to deliver to them. So let's dig in and see where we've been seeing activity. Okay, well, it's a broad set of use cases, but these are the 7 or 8 ChatGPT approved types of NFTs. Digital art, we saw, collectibles or profile picture type of NFTs, sports NFTs, metaverse and land, digital land, digital fashion and avatars. Some of these kind of cross over with each other. Music, and then maybe real world, where the NFT represents something you did in the real world or something you will in the real world, like a POAP, a proof of attendance. It doesn't have to be a physical attendance, it could have been a virtual event, but still, these are just some of the use cases. I think there'll be hundreds or thousands more. Fonts will be sold as NFT, musical scores, books and music and movies. Kind of any piece of digital intellectual property can be defined as scarce and ownable. So we're just kind of getting started, but these are the ones where we've seen some evidence of activities. And I do believe that we sort of hit that tipping point where the mass media started to recognize it and talk about it, which got a lot of people curious. The irony was, though, like, we weren't really ready for that. As I said, the UX kind of crappy, and I don't think enough brands and use cases were present to absorb that curiosity. I think we started artificially primed the pump, but that's okay, because we don't control this. This is what's so lovely about throwing technology out into the world, is you get to see what sticks and where demand is. And as an evidence-based investor who started as a product manager, I don't presume to believe I can predict product market fit. I just try a lot of stuff and see what the market tells me. That's what all the best product managers do. In fact, most of the best products are made through iteration, right? Where we finally get something that sticks and then we iterate around what consumers are showing us or telling us. So we have a lot of iteration to do here, but let's just take a look at what people have responded to. So this here is the list of the top collections over all time. And so we see Axie Infinity, that was the first play to earn crypto game, where about $4.2 billion have been spent buying the NFTs associated with Axie. And the Bored Apes at $2.7 billion, and CryptoPunks and Mutant Apes and Art Blocks and the sports NFTs with NBA Top Shot, the Nike Clone X experiment. We'll talk about that in a minute. $845 million in sales. So this is just the top 15. The bottom there, number 15, Bored Ape kind of Club did $455 million in sales. So like these are not small numbers, but it is a small number of people. You can see that in the buyers column. And so what I would draw your attention to is, if you sort of parse out what types of NFTs are on here, the largest number of buyers were attracted to the NFTs that had some gaming element associated with them. Now there's a flaw in my logic. Most of these profile picture collections only had 10,000 NFTs to begin with, so it's sort of hard to have more than 10,000 owners, except for the fact that they flip a lot. But sort of by design, they're limited in the wideness of their appeal. But most gaming NFTs are not. They try to enforce some type of scarcity around them within micro components of the collection, but they want everyone to be able to play. Certainly the NBA, which has 800 million fans worldwide, would like more than 10,000 of their customers to be able to own an NBA Top Shot. And indeed, that's what's happened. We have about 500,000 people who own NBA Top Shots. Still small, but it's interesting to me that if your goal is to try to achieve widespread adoption, you probably want to focus a little bit more on the NFTs that have some kind of gaming element to them, and obviously by definition have more than 10,000 that you can buy. Okay, one question we get asked a lot is, which blockchain should I build NFTs on? It's unfortunately a question that as a brand you have to think about. We want to reach a point in crypto where you don't have to think about this. Blockchains
sort of like operating systems, should be abstracted away from the consumer. And I think over some amount of time they will be, but right now they're not. And if a consumer has an Ethereum wallet but not a Polygon one, and you're selling on Polygon, well, they got to deal with that. So I'm sorry to tell you that that's not been solved yet, although we've invested in a lot of interoperability and abstracting technology that will come out over the next few years to hopefully make that stuff go away. But I just wanted to show you that while Ethereum has had $36 billion of sales of NFTs, Ronin, Solana, Flow, Polygon, they have meaningful amounts, but not nearly as close to Ethereum today. Still just an interesting piece for you. I think what that might mean is you probably can't go wrong if you're picking something in the top 5, but you still have a bunch of consumer UX work to do to make that experience pleasant and usable. Let's talk a little bit about other types of NFTs and how things have done. Well, the one that I'm most excited about is the one that Jodee mentioned, and that is NFTs that are dynamic. The first 1,000 or so NFT collections released don't really change over time. It's a static piece of digital intellectual property. Yes, it's true the NBA Top Shots and the NFL All Days, they're not static pieces, they're actually like micro videos, so they have a little movement in them, but still what I mean is, these are software, but they're not improving or altering themselves over time. And that to me feels like a huge missed opportunity. One argument against NFTs, we'll talk about this in a minute, the market today is maybe only 30 or 40,000 people who are flipping NFTs every day. They're essentially day trading or professional NFT traders. That's kind of where we are in the market cycle, definitely at a trough. We're up about 40% in the month of January, but still, it's not nearly the 1.5 million people who were most active in Q1 2022. But one reason why, or maybe one defense we could adopt to discourage just the flipping of NFTs is NFTs that reward you the longer you hold them, which is an obvious improvement by some, but maybe we go further than that, NFTs that take on the properties of the owner or the activities or things that the owner does to become more rare or more interesting over time. And so this is an example that the Bored Apes did, and this dynamic NFT drop has done $561 million of sales in the first 24 hours. And the idea is that the land itself will change or improve over time as you own it. I don't know that this particular implementation is the one that's going to crack the nut, but I would expect to see more dynamic NFTs that have properties that evolve over time. One example of a traditional mainstream brand that's done quite well here, of course, is Nike. You know that they purchased Artifact and then launched this unbelievable collection called Clone X, which was a collab, which is sort of the state of the sneaker market and street apparel market anyway, lots of collabs. They launched 20,000 units, so not 10,000, and they did $845 million of sales thus far. Now the criticism you might make here is these are people buying them because they expect they're going to increase in value and they're going to sell them for profit. That's a feature, not a bug, but it's not the only reason you want people to be buying NFTs. And I say that this draws heavily from the Supreme and Nike models already, where those are most high-end sneaker and most high-end street apparel are scarcity models. Supreme kind of invented and popularized it, where there's a limited number of $150 sweatshirts at the drop that are worth $800 the minute you've been lucky enough to stand in line and get the drop. And many have noted that in that model, 90% of the economic value of the Supreme ecosystem is not captured by Supreme. It's all in the aftermarket. But at least with NFTs, the creator gets a royalty for all of the aftermarket. So you participate in some extent to this, which is, I think, an improvement over the model. But here we have a wonderful example of sort of the combination of art and apparel, where wearables can be customized, and there's a physical collection tie-in. So if you have the NFT, there are physical goods that will be sent to you, or you can register for and receive. Phygital, I think, is the expression used to describe these NFTs that have a physical and digital link to them. I think I've got one more slide on that in a second, but Nike's done extraordinarily well here. I think capitalizing on not just their brand equity, but their kind of willingness to understand what the culture is around NFTs and kind of embrace it, rather than just release some NFT of a digital shoe. Here's a kind of deep dive into how well they've done with it. The blue bars that you see are all essentially Nike sales in the digital fashion subsector of NFTs. And the other colors are other folks like Gucci or Adidas who have entered, but you can see that Nike completely dominated it. And yes, you'll point out that, yeah, but it's nothing right now. Yeah, but right now, I have high conviction that we're just in a market malaise, and that there will be new experiments and new use cases that will attract normies, and as we improve the UX, and some number of months or years from now, we'll be saying, this is extraordinarily interesting again. Now, this has to stop us from investing, by the way, in this area. We think now is absolutely the time to be investing in the products that'll be released over the year or two. But what gives us the conviction that that's true? And it's largely the fact that this is a product type that has so many real-world analogies. 40% of all humans over the history of humanity have collected things. From art to shoes, to recipes, to baseball cards. People collect. Not everyone, but most people do. And so at its root, just the collectible use case of NFTs, we think, will produce and resonate massively with digital natives, who of course will collect digital goods because they spend the rest of their lives on digital devices. But the phygital space is also interesting for those of us who maybe want a physical representation of the things that we're collecting. And this is Artifact. They've done about 70% of all phygital secondary volume. So again, it's the Nike example. But you can see real consistent sort of drop behavior at the time of the release, and then some tail of activity afterwards. This is just secondary trading volume though. And so it doesn't include the primary, but that was the 845 million is total primary and secondary sales for CloneX. But here I think impressive that this is a product that continues to have legs. And the thing that should surprise many of us the most is while there's a small number of people who have traded NFTs, look at the ARPUs. So this is just the last 12 months of NFT sales divided by the number of people who purchased, and we're seeing $3,000 to $4,000 of ARPU. Now, this is one of the most extraordinary spend levels for consumer products, right? Netflix is $180 a year, Spotify's like $60 a year. I don't know what Apple's ARPU is across all physical and services that they sell, probably higher than both of those, but still, anything north of $100 a year is like incredible consumer experience. So to get people to spend, I've seen this number change, I monitor it very closely. The lowest I've ever seen it is $960. So that was sort of during the mass market craze around NFTs. So what is that telling us? That consumers, at least a small number, 1.5 million monthlies at its peak, 10 million total, are willing to spend $1,000 or more a year on this product category, is an area I want to invest in, right? When you see ARPUs that high. One thing I'm just about done here, Jodee, but one thing I wanted to address is we hear a lot of complaints about the fact that marketplaces that sell NFTs incent users to trade through the promise of a future reward, usually called an airdrop. And when that happens, we see an artificial amount of activity happen on marketplaces. And we can, because blockchains are transparent, we can go back and look and diagnose how much of that activity was authentic versus wash trading, where it's one person selling to another. And the answer is a whole lot of it was during the big craze. So I think we might have artificially inflated our view of what NFTs were during that Q1 of 2022, where our best guess is maybe as much as half the volume was wash trading. But the last thing I'll tell you is I think NFTs are just at the beginning phase. We got ahead of ourselves, but I have a high conviction that over the next 10 years, this will be one of the largest consumer industries in the trillions of dollars, and will completely rewrite the rules of intellectual property. So thanks for listening to me today.
That was amazing.
Here we are at the NASDAQ Center in Times Square. Here we are again.
How many times have we done this with you,
This will be the sixth event. This will be the sixth event.
I will always remember the first one that we did at the Sony PlayStation Theatre, where Ian had a little. It was like a cave, wasn't it?
It was. It was the Golden Cave.
It was a little golden cave, dark little cave.
That's right.
And we dragged people into the cave for you to interview.
It was a blast, so much so. Well, this was a really fun way that you brought, 100 plus leaders together for today. So
At
maybe,
NASDAQ.
Yeah, here at NASDAQ. So this will, for maybe the community, you could tell them a bit about what we did today, and maybe share something inspiring that we heard. Yeah.
But do you remember how hard it was back in 2019 and 2020 to explain to people what an NFT is? And here we are at NASDAQ, and NASDAQ are embracing NFTs.
That's right. It's let alone what it was, get them to actually embrace it and do anything with it, or participate in any way. It's very different.
And we had 100 brands in the room today, and it was a full house. Big well done, Cameron, by the way.
138.
What was your favorite quote?
David Pakman, who has been a speaker at every NFT.NYC, as you know, he talked about NFTs being the most successful consumer product of all time, and I think that's just amazing.
And that was based on average revenue per user, wasn't it?
Yeah, based on the average revenue per user.
And also the fact that it hit $50 billion in revenue in such a short time.
Yeah.
And then it's a two-part statistics.
My favorite quote was, once you create an NFT, it's there for life.
Yeah.
That's sort of amazing.
It puts a great responsibility onto the creator. Yeah.
I think more creators should feel responsible for what they're creating in this industry. Although there should be a lightheartedness, but I think people should take that seriously. That was a great quote. What do you think comes from this? There's 40 days until the event.
40 days.
40 days.
42.
42.
No, 28 days in February. Oh, yeah, February's gone. You're right, 42. Okay.
Are you ready, Cameron?
I got mixed up.
Down.
Thank you for correcting me, Cam.
And we're at North Javits this year.
Yes.
All under the one roof.
All in one place.
8 stages, all under one roof. And we have an artist village this year, don't we?
Yeah, we have an artist village on the rooftop. So we'll be showing, I think, over 2,000 community artists' works in a gallery space throughout the event.
Yeah.
Also on Times Square.
And we're inviting the artists to come and show their art.
Yes, exactly.
The artists are very excited. I've heard from a lot of artists that just have expressed their gratitude for being selected and for the way that you're putting people on.
Well, about 200 of them will be on billboards in Times Square,
Yes.
and then another 1,500 will be on all the AV that you have. How many AV screens are you going to have through North Javits?
Oh, it must be amazing.
A lot.
Yeah, it must be
Hundreds?
incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Now, how about for the Times Square billboard moment? I believe it's a specific time. Is it Thursday?
Yes, it's after the speaker and VIP dinner.
Okay.
On the
Tuesday then, the 11th?
the 11th of April, yes.
And so can you give an idea, what might people expect to experience? Is it going to be for a couple hours that we kind of take over the billboards?
We're taking over the billboards for an hour.
Okay.
I believe it's at 8:30. And actually there's someone who can tell us. Michael B.
Come on over.
Come. NASDAQ people, come on over.
We'll get them all.
Jonathan, come on over.
Come join us.
It's live. There are thousands of people watching you. So, thank you for the NASDAQ event today.
Yes,
it was amazing.
It's my pleasure. Are we really live?
There you are. You're so forward-looking. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for hosting us. Ian.
Ian, Jonathan.
Nice to meet you, Jonathan.
You did a great job.
Well, you guys did all the work. I'm just here to look good.
No, you were great. Thank you. We hope to include you to our event in April.
Yes, I hope we can do more of these.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's a great sort of partnership in letting us dip our toe into Web3. So we're excited.
Good.
Well, I love that Joe said you're a technology company.
Oh, we are totally tech first.
Yeah. It's amazing to have an exchange say that.
Yeah.
So big thank you.
It's true. Well, we're excited. How many? We're 1 month away? 6 weeks away.
6 weeks.
Yeah, that's right.
So we'll see you there.
See you there. Thank you.
And hopefully at the opening bell.
See ya.
That's right.
And then now we have Michael.
So Michael,
the
come and
Tucker.
talk to us about the billboards.
Yeah.
That is going to happen for the hour, I believe, April 12th.
I think the billboard is going to be very exciting. This will be the third year that we've done it now. So what we're going to do is we're going to have all of the speakers and all of the artists that are participating in the artist showcase, which are 2,300, am I right? Artists.
200 of them will be on the Times Square.
The 200 of them will be on the Times Square billboard showcasing their art and having it on display in front of everybody in Times Square.
Amazing.
The reason I yelled across the room
Yeah.
at you was Ian wanted to know what time is it? Is it 8:30 on Tuesday?
8:30 on Tuesday.
On Tuesday night.
Yes.
Across, is it 5, 6 billboards?
It's 4 billboards this year,
Including the big long one in the middle.
including the iconic One Times Square. Yes.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Come back, Cameron.
Yeah, come back in, Cam. So, leading up to the come join us, Michael. So, leading up to the event, maybe the three of you, before we wrap up, could just share something you're looking forward to about NFT.NYC, which is the 6th event the team's put on. That maybe is something you're looking forward to that we haven't done in the last 5 events. I mean, I'll give mine. Right, being at the Javits Center, everywhere in one place. We haven't been able to do that here in New York. We did that in London, and it was extraordinary to have everybody in one place. So to me, that's a huge win for the community. What are you looking for?
Same. Everything in one place.
Yeah, I think it's
really cool. And I love it that we have an artist village,
Yeah.
and I love it, and equally love it that so many brands are involved this year.
Yeah.
The brands are actually pushing us.
That really was on display today at this event here. It was clear that the brands were coming to swing for the fences, not
right.
for immediate benefit, not for cash grab, but over a decade period. Like they have good, strong, strategic vision, and they're coming to play, and they're coming to play
100%.
professionally. How about for you, Mike? What are you looking forward
Yeah, I'm really excited for the knowledge sharing. So we had a little bit of a preview of that today.
Yeah.
But the speculators are gone, and right now it's all about building. So
Right.
I'm really excited to hear people share their different projects,
Yeah.
the different new tech that's being developed, and excited to hear and see all the new activations that are going to happen this year.
to?
And
Yes.
you're running some workshops, aren't you?
Yes, that is true.
What are some of the workshops that you're running?
Well, at the event this year, I'll be running, I think, 4 workshops. The one that I'm most excited about is how to create your own NFT experience on a white label platform. So we spoke a lot with brands today, and a lot of them want to create an NFT experience, whether it's an in-person giveaway or whether it's social proof or verification
Right.
or a loyalty program where they receive digital merch or physical merch. Bringing the whole crew in.
Yeah, why not?
Very excited for that.
We've just brought a few more of the team
Yes,
members
come on
over.
in. We have room.
Yeah,
You can come this way.
Tony. No escaping. The question is, what are you looking forward to most at NFT.NYC 2023? Cam, you're going to be next, and then.
All right. I think I'm most excited about seeing what people do with NFT activations on site. I think seeing how people can lead by example during the event is going to be really exciting. We've seen different things every year. I remember the first year, there's a guy called John Egan. Hello, John, if you're watching.
Yeah.
John Egan, he actually created, in 2019, he brought a coffee machine that you had to tap your phone in to prove that you own an NFT, and it would make you a cup of coffee only if you own the NFT. And I thought that was such a fun thing, and I just want to see more experimentation and real life examples like that.
That's very cool.
How about you, Charles?
Well, the thing I'm excited about is being at the Javits.
Yeah.
That's the thing that we've gotten feedback from sponsors and different people is just that the whole experience is coming closer together. Because some of the things we got the best positive feedback from attendees, from sponsors and speakers was in the Marriott last year, the 5th, 6th, and 7th floors, because you had the content, the stages right there, but you had exhibitors that were related to that content. You had lounges for networking right there. And so you see the content drives attendees' calendars for the event, right? And so we're leaning into that and creating experiences that are ring around that, whether it's gaming or brands or the artist village or the entertainment quarter and things, just to make it easier to make those casual connections, people that have very similar interests and stuff. And the great thing is about it being in one similar space, so people aren't having to sacrifice their schedule to make a decision, am I going to go over to another venue? They're right there.
Yeah.
That's what exciting.
Sign me up.
How about you, Noah?
I am looking forward to all of the engagement that we're going to be creating with the NFTs, specifically seeing the looks on people's faces when they see that their digital twin tickets reveal the final artwork.
What a reveal, like a surprise and delight.
A surprise and delight. You had a ticket with one artwork, you checked in, and in real time, immediately the NFT updates, and you now see your final artwork, and you can reach out to the artist and connect with them. And yeah, I'm very excited for that and all the other engagement that we're creating.
So speaking of artists, amazing. This year, for the second time, we're doing the Artist Showcase. We had over 3,000 artists apply, and nearly 2,000 are going to be featured in our Artist Village.
Yes.
We're creating an immersive gallery experience, not only in the village, but also across Times Square billboards.
And Samuel, the youngest member of our team. What are you looking forward to?
I'm most excited for the energy of NFT.NYC. If the energy of the event was anything like the energy at the NASDAQ events that we've had, it's going to be a very special conference. So I'm very excited.
I have another one.
Oh, another one?
Bonus round.
I'm excited. So engaging attendees and connecting them with the art and the artists on their tickets, but also connecting attendees to each other through our new tool that we'll be rolling out for the conference, allowing attendees to find each other within the community based on their shared interests, based on the NFTs they own, and connect on social media, send messages to each other, connect in real life hopefully as well, and looking forward to all of the connections that come out from that experience.
Maybe the final word, Jodee.
The final word.
Before we wrap it up.
Well, the final word is that we are so grateful to you, Ian. You've been a friend. You've been so deeply part of our family. You're always there when we need you. And
even when you don't need
and the tradition over many years is that you close the conference by summing up the future of NFTs.
Yeah.
Are you going to do that again this year?
I sure would like to.
Well, you are the most qualified person in the world to do that, because you have interviewed, what, 500 or more?
Over 500 just from our event alone. Probably 1,000 altogether.
So you are the guru of speakers.
I'm good at collecting everybody's ideas and assimilating it into one cohesive thought.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, we'll see you in April, 12th through the 14th.